Hello and welcome to the first episode of my epic rants. Today, as you can see, my epic rant will be about Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I've had in my head for the past month or so now. And I want to explain how I got into the Final Fantasy series, how I got into Final Fantasy VII in particular, and what I love about the game and what I think would interest new players and why I think fans of the series love it so much. So let's start by talking about when I was a little kid, around the age of 6 or 7 I think. I just used to play with remote controls, using the spaceships. I had toys as well. I used to do that, and I used to use spoons as spaceships too. A little bit like the Enterprise from Star Trek. And that was me, just a normal, everyday kid. And my parents got us a PlayStation, the first PlayStation, the original PlayStation, and a few games for it. I remember fondly how we used to love this console, and we used to literally spend days on this PlayStation, me and my brothers. And one of the games that we got was Final Fantasy VII. This game, it looked so amazing. The box was just simple. It was white with a meteor fruit with the title Final Fantasy VII. And it had 8 discs, which was crazy and bizarre and fantastic when you think of all the other games that had 1 disc to them. This had 8. And an amazing book which tells you about all the characters and the setting and the story. The thing is, with this Final Fantasy VII, it was a bit buggy. Literally, it was the game or it was the console, but it used to freeze on the opening of Final Fantasy VII. It used to freeze on the stars. Well, which I thought was stars, which I recently found out. It's actually macro, which was an epiphany to me when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake and saw the opening and found that it wasn't stars at all, which I thought it was so many years ago. Yeah, I used to keep bugging out and just get onto that bit and freeze. Sometimes it would work though, and playing that game was such an experience, such an amazing thing. All the games we had was amazing, and I love every single one of them. And I'll get into them probably in other videos. But today I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII and why it's I've always been a fan of it. So, in the original Final Fantasy, when it came out on PlayStation, it was so much of a phenomenon that it wasn't like Super Mario Bros. Or anything like that. It wasn't this, this 2D game with us jumping through obstacles. It was 3D, and the characters looked compelling, and the place and atmosphere looked amazing, and the storytelling was fantastic. I loved the matter of fact that you could name your characters, and every choice seemed like your choice because you could name them your name, and so therefore, you played as this spiky, cool dude, which was fantastic for a kid who had blonde hair and loved spiking his hair up. It was fantastic. And also the combat wasn't complex, it wasn't something that was hard to master. Even though the manual gave you instructions of how to play, it was easy to pick up. It was turn-based kind of game, timed who went first. And the attacks were simple enough: attack, or you could use a spell, or you could heal with potions and items, and use items. So straightforward. And it excelled in storytelling, and to me that was such a great thing, and I see how much great help that was in my early years. The these days where everything's like fully voiced and, you know, cutscenes are fully made up, you miss the text-based sort of RPGs because it kind of taught you how to read in a way. It was enjoyable. It was like reading a book, but a choice-based book. It was fantastic, and I loved going through that game. Ironically, we only played up to leaving Midgar, which is funny because this is where Final Fantasy VII Remake ends as well. It only covers the Midgar section of Final Fantasy VII. So we had Final Fantasy VII and we also had Final Fantasy VIII, which we loved playing as well. It's such cool designs for these characters, such cool, like fantasy-esque worlds, like the title suggests. Cloud being this cool mercenary who's got a massive sword, and then Final Fantasy VIII with Squall with his gunblade. Yes, a sword that is actually a gun. At my age, that just blew my mind. It was so cool, and the matter of fact that he went to a fighting school where they learned like how to use their weapons and how to summon these monsters and fight all these monsters and creatures, and it was so cool. And we loved playing that game. I loved watching it. My brothers used to play it. It's weird because they don't really play games that much anymore, but I used to love watching my middle brother Tom play Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII. I have fond memories of just watching the story and loving every single character, every story detail that's put into that game. A couple of years later, or a bit more later, we got a PlayStation 2. For some reason we skipped Final Fantasy 9, but we got Final Fantasy 10 for the PlayStation 2, and again that blew my mind, and I'm guessing blew my brother's minds. As again, Tom would play that and nearly finished it, but for some reason he didn't finish it. For some reason he stopped at the end. I don't know if he wanted to stop on purpose, that he didn't want it to end, or no, I just got bored. I don't know, but he stopped at the end, and going through that story was such an amazing story, and how it changed from having these little pixelated characters to fully rendered CG cutscenes. It was amazing to play, and I loved it. Them games. And that's where we kind of dropped off with Final Fantasy. We didn't really get much games after Final Fantasy X. I think we were just stuck to playing Final Fantasy X and enjoying that game. But my friends and I used to play it, and yeah, we kind of dropped off the radar in regards to Final Fantasy. I saw Final Fantasy 12. I played the demo even of Final Fantasy 12, and I loved the story to it. I didn't get the combat system at first. I don't know if I liked it or not, because it was new. I liked the whole turn-based sort of how it was doing it, and I know that was kind of like doing the same, but it was new in a way. How it went random, you could see the monsters. So I thought, well, you could just avoid them then, couldn't you? But as a kid, obviously, I didn't get that. But that was so fantastic. It's crazy that I skipped the games after that. I still was obsessed with Final Fantasy. I wouldn't say I kind of lost care for the series. I still cared for the Final Fantasy series. I would just go back to the games that I played, so Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy X. Again, to this day, I've not played Final Fantasy IX. I never really wanted to. I didn't like the artistic work that they went with Final Fantasy IX. It was never really my cup of tea. I'll get into that on another video. But Final Fantasy VII came back onto the scene when they did a movie. called Advent Children, and that was an amazing movie. Like, I remember getting the DVD and we watched it. Me and my brothers watched this fantastic movie. We didn't fully get it. It kind of explains the story of Final Fantasy, because the movie is based after the events of the original game. And they tell you a bit of the backstory, but not all of it. Obviously, so that you can play the game. But the dialogue was a bit confusing because obviously you had to play the original to get what was happening and who these characters were. But it was still amazing to watch and how it looked and how cool it looked. I played Kingdom Hearts, another Square Enix based game, and they had Final Fantasy characters in it. And I loved characters like Cloud and Sephiroth, and to see these in a movie form and see these fully realised in CGI was fantastic. And I remember watching the last battle between Cloud and Sephiroth about 100 times over and over. I just loved watching it and obsessed over it every second I could. And that reignited my love for Final Fantasy VII, and it's always been a weird thing because I have always thought, I never played the game properly, but I know the story, I know what happens, and I love every single bit of it. And yeah, when the tech demo came out for the PlayStation 3, and it looked like they was gonna, do a remake of Final Fantasy VII, and people were so hyped about it. I was too. I was just like, I want this game so badly. I want to play this game, and I want to play it in fully realised graphics. It'd be so amazing to see. And obviously, years and years went by, and I still wanted it as much as the fans did. And when I first saw the trailer drop for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I felt just like the fans that were in that room. I felt, so overwhelmed. And it was one first time I thought to myself that when this game comes out, I'm getting it. There's so many games out there that I just, I loved and I wanted. But I knew that, money constraints or anything like that, I might not get it, on release. But when it came to this game, I knew I wanted it on release. I wanted this game so badly. So when I pre-ordered it a couple of months before it came out, I was so excited. I just kept keep looking and waiting to see confirmation of, that it had been paid for and it was on its way, and just everything, just reading about it and reading about obviously people's buying it on pre-orders, leaks that happened. I didn't delve into them because I didn't want spoiling or anything like that for me. So lucky to get it early. But I'd never actually played it. I didn't play it until the launch day. I didn't play it until it was out digitally for everyone. And when I played it, it was probably the best game I've played since. I played so many games, and this game, it just blew me away. I played the demo, and I loved the demo, and I loved the first chapter of the remake, which just made me more and more excited. And as I got more and more into the story of the remake, I loved it more and more. Such an amazing story, and how they went with it and made much more story to go with it. Now, for Final Fantasy Remake, I don't want to spoil too much of it. It fleshes out characters that in the original didn't have that much story. There was just characters that were there. This game fleshes out, like, every character has, they're a person and they have their own story to tell, and it's so amazing to see that. And on one of the chapters, I loved it so much because it delved into the less known characters. of the original. I'm not in it I'm not in it, for more than 5 seconds, and it was so amazing to witness how much depth he had gone into with this game. It got me, and it's filled me with happiness that how much more they put into this game. You could tell that it was going to be a 50-hour game with how much they put into it. And I loved going through the bits that I knew and little nods that it had to the original, to the actual overall story, but didn't give things away. And it's such an interesting game because I think they truly captured what the fans wanted. A true remake of the first part of Final Fantasy VII. All these beloved characters come to life. Amazing voice acting, amazing, artwork. The setting was just so fully realised, and looked so amazing. All the different places and how the characters looked, how the hair moved, how they moved, their body language, their facial features. Matter of fact that when you look at the character, he blinks and just looks so amazing. Cloud looks so amazing. They all look so amazing. How the lighting hit everything. How the scenery was just phenomenal. The artistry was amazing. It just gives justice to the fans. And to newcomers to the series, again, it's, I would say they pushed the boundaries of graphics with this game. What they could do with the PlayStation 4, and that's what they did with this game. They pushed it. Sometimes it has bad rendering in some bits, but I think that's because they could only work with the limitations that they have, and they tried to put so much into it, so much detail, and you could tell that. As I said, also for newcomers, the combat system is so easy to get into. It's something that people have seen from previous installments of Final Fantasy, previous installments of other games, and it incorporates a kind of fluid battle system that's true to the fans of the original, with turn-based in regards to magic and using special attacks and things like that, as well as being a cool hack and slash sort of game. And I think that's an amazing, unique thing, and they should keep hold of that uniqueness that they've done for this game. Also, as I said, the voice acting is phenomenal. I love every single character and how the voice actors bring them to life. My biggest character that I loved was Aerith in this game. Her characterization was so amazing, and her voice actor Brianna White was phenomenal in capturing this voice. She's a content creator, and I've been watching her because of how amazing she did of Aerith, and I want to thank her for doing such an amazing performance. They're all amazing performances. So you could tell kind of what they were going for and how he acts and what his mannerisms are, and he's not too groaning. Like a lot of people, some people I know that didn't like the original because of how mopey the character is, and it wasn't fun-loving or anything like that. In this, you can kind of get the character, and it's just so amazing to see that characterization, that kind of moment where you can tell what they're going for with the character. And he's so likable as a character. He's just cool and collected, and the way he acts is because he's trying to show off that side of him, that coolness to him. It's such an amazing characterization. I also want to talk about the ending, because the ending is an amazing thing that we see in this game. It's a massive twist, and some fans weren't expecting it, and I've read articles about how, you know, it kind of ruined the game a little, and I can't see how it ruined the game. Like, it was so Final Fantasy-esque. Like playing Final Fantasy games and playing Kingdom Hearts as well. You could tell that final part was so Final Fantasy. I've recently gone back and completed Final Fantasy X, and I completed other games like I said, Kingdom Hearts, and the endings have these amazing boss battles where, you know, it gets, you know, goes from one stage to another, you know, and that's kind of what Final Fantasy and how the games work, where you fight little things at the start and they just get bigger and bigger and more otherworldly and crazier as you get along. And it was such an amazing thing to see at the end of this game, that it wasn't just, you know, they left Midgar. They had this amazing boss battle, and it was so needed for a finale, and the challenge and the tension and everything was just so on point as a Final Fantasy game, and just gave this ending justice. It wasn't just clean slate the gun out of Midgar. It was something that they thought of, the developers thought of, and thought, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be game changing. Because even though it would be amazing to have a boot for boot, you know, remake that, you know, the fans were wanting, you know, boot for boot, and that's why this ending kind of miffed some people. I like that there's a little bit of newness to it. There's a little bit of uniqueness that makes this game stand out from the original. And that's going to be amazing going forward. I'd love to see what we do for the next parts. And even though it's only been a couple of months, I've completed this game and I can't wait for the next one. And that's what brings me to how this game, as a media platform, is on par with amazing blockbuster movies and amazing blockbuster TV shows. That's got so much that people wanted and were waiting for. It's like going to see the last Avengers film, you know, and how everyone loved it and how it was just so amazingly received. This game is, well, the game equivalent of that, you know. And going forward, I can't wait for the next one. And that's what I mean. So like when you watch, you know, when you watch a movie, you can't wait for the sequel, or when you watch a TV show, you can't wait for the next episode. I can't wait for the next one. And keep looking on the internet to see if there's any sign of any more updates on what they're going to do next. Obviously, it's only been a couple of months, and you know they're not going to go right on to the next one. Here we are. There's going to be some wait for people to play this game and, you know, like this game for what it is. And that's why, you know, this game has been in my mind for so long. I haven't completed it all yet. I've got to do hard mode. I've nearly completed that hard mode, and I still need to do some other stuff to get platinum, because I will platinum this game. It's just been so amazing of a journey. And when I finish it and platinum it, I want to go through it again on what's called classic. You can go on classic mode, and what that is it fights automatically. You can do like special skills and stuff, but basically when it gets into combat, he does all Carl will do all the fighting, all the characters do all the fighting for you. And with endgame stuff, it's like a walking simulator, and then I can just watch the story unfold in front of me once again, and just marvel at the amazingness of it. Like putting on a DVD that I love and watching a movie that I love again. It'd be like doing that, but with a game. And that's why this is my first epic rant. As I said, it's been in my head for the past couple of months, and I want to express the amazingness of it. If you haven't got it and you have a PlayStation, pick this game up if you can and play it. You will not be disappointed in the amazingness of it. If you have played it, you know what I mean, how crazy and amazing, how much effort everyone has put into it. It's just so perfect of a game. Yes, there is probably games I'm going to love just as well as this in the future, most likely. But for now, this is my top game. If you agree with me on this game, please leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe. This has been my first episode of Epic Rants. There will be more down the line. I am sorry for if the mic doesn't seem as good or the quality is not as good. It's just my setup. I haven't got like the highest quality of things. But I wanted to do this. I want to express my love for something. I want to talk about something that I love, and I want to find like-minded people that felt the same way, or even introduce people to new things. And hopefully, I've explained things that make this easy to get into. Thank you for watching. If you want, subscribe. And if you want, click the bell for notifications on future videos. And thank you for watching once again.
These sewer rats appear to call themselves Avalanche, sir.
You can have it for saving my life. You think he's a keeper?
Oh my god. Y'all gotta look at the bigger picture here. Nothing worth fighting for was ever won without sacrifice.
Help me! Arlene.
Have you been a good girl?
I heard you're having second thoughts.
I know we have to think big if we're going to make a difference. But not like this. I feel trapped. My turn.
Get going.
Got you now! Huh?
You're not real. You're...
Clown, I have a favor to ask of you. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live.
You bastard!
Hold on to that hatred.